Hello everyone. Hope everyone's having a wonderful Wednesday. It's our it's May. Everybody's enjoying May so far, wherever you may be. I was just talking to family in Colorado where it was snowing yesterday. I'm out here in Los Angeles where it's sunny, but it's still kind of cool. And hopefully your day is going well. Um, we'll go ahead and get started. I know some folks will keep coming in as normal. That's fine. And just kind of to get us going, my name is Zach Anderson. I'm the client engagement lead here at SafeAbroad, and I'm joined by quite a few of my colleagues who will be walking us through the monthly briefing as we get started. So just got to go through. The team will introduce themselves as they come on. We'll talk about some recent incidents, and then we'll spend a bit more time on the month ahead, as well as some of the reports that have come out, and we want to draw your attention to. So, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started on recent incidents.
Hi all, I'm Kira and I am an operations manager here with Safe Abroad, and I will be discussing Songkran, which is a festival that is held in Thailand, or that was held in Thailand, sorry, on April 13th to April 15th. Songkran is one of the largest celebrations in Southeast Asia and takes place every year throughout Thailand, where the streets are closed and often turn into public water fight battles. This year, around 50,000 visitors travelled to and participated in the celebrations, with the largest water fight taking place on Siloam Road in Bangkok. Other celebrations took place on Siam Square and in Benchikati Park. Safe abroad travellers were advised to plan travel in advance, allowing for additional travel time. Travellers were also advised to respect local traditions and to ensure that they maintain situational awareness.
Hi everyone, my name is Kira and I'm a project manager here at Safe Abroad, and I'm going to be discussing the nationwide transportation strike in the Philippines that occurred from April 15th to the 17th. So in the Philippines experienced a nationwide transportation strike due to rising fuel costs as well as desired fuel subsidies. The strike was originally organized by the Manibela Group, and it affected over 500,000 drivers, taxis, and ride service app drivers in addition to that. In addition, the Philippines experienced travel disruptions due to the transportation strike, and the strikers were demanding government intervention on the rising fuel costs. The implications for travelers: so Safe Abroad travelers were advised to plan contingency routes and monitor local media to remain informed of the status on disruptions. In addition, travelers were advised to use different private services such as Uber or Lyft.
Hello, everybody. My name is Nolan Perrin, and I'm a senior analyst and a program manager here at Safe Abroad. What we're looking at here is there was a pilot strike from the Lufthansa Group, April 16 to 17, caused widespread flight cancellations across Germany. The strike was organized for several reasons, but that also included demanding improved working conditions, pension guarantees, earlier retirement, and higher payouts. The strike affected Lufthansa and several of its subsidiaries, including CityLine, Eurowings, its cargo subsidiary. But notably, some subsidiaries of Lufthansa were not affected, which included Australian Airlines and Brussels Airlines. It canceled so many flights that Frankfurt Airport had to cancel 650 of its 1337 scheduled flights, and hundreds of Lufthansa flights themselves were canceled. So travelers were advised to contact Lufthansa and prepare for longer delays at the airport.
Hi everyone, my name is Caroline. I'm a senior intelligence analyst and project manager here with Safe Abroad. On April 20th in Teotihuacan, Mexico, a lone gunman at the top of the pyramids opened fire and killed one tourist and injured 13 others. In the process, he took several tourists hostage and ended up in a firefight with security forces before ultimately taking his own life. Authorities responded and assessed the incident to be a lone wolf attack. There is no indication that cartels were involved in the violence on the pyramid. And based off of what the perpetrator was stating, it was specifically targeting tourists who were visiting the pyramid. In response, the Mexican government has increased security checks, surveillance, and National Guard presence around the pyramid. And in the immediate aftermath of the attack, travelers were advised to expect heightened security and, of course, to avoid the tourist site.
April 25th was Liberation Day across Italy, with its largest celebrations taking place in Rome. This commemorated the end of occupation and the fall of the fascist regime there in Italy. Major ceremonies took place at Piazza Venezia, another march from the Colosseum. Also, another major procession took place from the Porta San Paolo to Schuster Park. That was a key event that was also in the south part of Rome there. These combined with the bike race you see there, the Grand Premio cycling race, to close many roads across the city during this time period. There were several celebrations going on for multiple days, with April 25th being actual Liberation Day itself, which means that there were rolling closures throughout the cities over that stretch, disrupting travel. So Safe Abroad travelers were advised to confirm travel routes before setting out, and also to expect road closures before they do depart.
All right, so up next, we are going to be talking about the upcoming and current runway maintenance to the Santiago de Compostela Airport, or SCQ, in Galicia, Spain. So the closure suspended flights from April 23rd and into May 26th. It requires airlines to reroute, cancel, or reschedule the services during this period. The SCQ airport serves as an important airport for tourism and regional connectivity in northern Spain, with around 30 daily flights. An increased demand for alternative transportation options such as high-speed trains and rail services into Galicia should be anticipated. Safe Abroad travelers are advised to confirm their flight status with the airlines well in advance, and they should also be planning alternative routes into northern Spain.
And switching to the month ahead over to Italy.
So, hundreds of thousands will attend and pass through Rome for the Italian Open from May 5th to May 17th. The Italian Open is a major international tennis tournament that is held at Foro Italico in Rome. The event attracts tens of thousands of spectators daily, which include international and domestic tourists, athletes, and media. The increase in travellers and visitors to Rome will create a demand to public transport, accommodation, and public spaces. Foro Italico is located 35 to 45 minutes north of Rome city centre by bus using Line 32 and Metrolinx. The Foro Italico sporting facility is often a tourist attraction located along Tiber River, which is also where the Olympic Stadium and Marble Stadium are located. Travellers should anticipate delays to public transports and expect heightened security for the duration of the 12-day tournament. Safe Abroad travellers are advised to confirm travel routes in advance, allowing for additional travel time. Travellers should also remain vigilant in crowded areas. An anti-monarch protest will take place where protesters will gather and march to Buckingham Palace demanding the abolishment of the monarchy. The participants will gather for Republic Day on May 9th to advocate for formally putting an end to the monarchy and the establishment of a republic in the United Kingdom. Protesters are expected to gather at Trafalgar Square at 12 p.m. before marching towards Buckingham Palace at 2 p.m. This protest will include well-known speakers and guests, performers, which is expected to draw a large crowd. Additionally, security and police will be deployed around the protest, particularly around Buckingham Palace. Crowds will cause significant slowdowns on roads and cause travel delays. Safe abroad travellers are advised to avoid the march locations and plan alternative travel routes anticipating delays. Travellers should also maintain situational awareness and monitor local media for updates throughout the protest.
On May 12th, there will be a major transportation strike across Belgium, with flights being by far the heaviest impacted there. So all transportation will be disrupted to varying degrees. However, with the flights, Brussels Airlines are expecting to cancel around 601 of their flights, representing around 60% of their total flights. Brussels Airport itself is also expecting half of all departing flights to be canceled, with some arriving journeys also to be affected. Iberia Airlines is also expecting to be affected there. And outside of Brussels Airport, travelers should note that all flights arriving to and departing from Charleroi or Brussels South Airport will be canceled on this day. There will also be an associated protest happening at 10:30 in the morning at Gare du Nord, one of the city's three major metro stations. So travelers are advised to confirm their bookings, and they should also plan alternative transport if necessary, and keep an eye out for any notifications from their airlines, which they are supposed to be notified over the coming days if they will be affected per Brussels Airport notification. Moving on to Eurovision, which is coming to Vienna this year, where travelers should expect heightened security all around the city from May 12th to 16th. It's one of the largest, highest profile events in Europe, which regularly attracts tens of thousands of tourists and music lovers across the continent. Austrian authorities have announced heightened security measures. This includes the deployment of 500 security personnel in addition to the police, not only at the event site, which is being held at Wiener Stadthalle, which is just a little northeast of the Schönbrunn Palace, but it also includes checks at the airports and any associated Eurovision events outside of the actual venue itself. The event has historically led to heavy congestion and altered public transportation. There will be rolling daily road closures, depending on which part of the city will happen between different hours of the day. Also, another one of those major locations, viewing locations for the event, of which there are several, will be City Hall, where there will be a large gathering there as well that travelers should plan around traveling. So they should expect delays when they are traveling and also follow official security directives.
All right, then from May 12th through 23rd, we have the Cannes Film Festival in France, which will cause, of course, an influx of travelers and tourists and associated travel disruptions. The Cannes Film Festival is one of the world's most largely televised events, particularly in the film industry. And even though most of the events associated with Cannes is invite only for professionals, it still attracts tens of thousands of tourists interested in the few public events that they hold. Most of these people will stay in Nice, Cannes, or Monaco. So these cities will all see an influx of tourists and associated travel disruptions. And the festival will cause road closures near the Palace of Festivals and the Congress of Cannes. This will also coincide in Monaco with a Formula E E-Prix that they are holding from Saturday, May 16th through Sunday, May 17th, which will also attract an influx of tourists and also contribute to associated travel disruptions that were expected in the region. Travel times, particularly using public transport by bus or train between Cannes and other cities, may increase by up to 2 to 3 times normal expected travel times due to overcrowding and road closures. So travelers are advised to take these all into consideration, plan their routes well in advance, avoid peak travel windows, and anticipate overcrowding of public transportation, and of course expect heightened security associated with the festival. And then from May 14th through 15, US President Trump will travel to Beijing, China to visit China's Chairman Xi Jinping, which will cause associated road closures and heightened security in the location. Chinese officials noted that there will be a layered security presence with security duties shared between the Chinese government and US Secret Service. So expected road closures will be associated with both governments. And of course, higher security is expected during this visit than previous visits in light of the recent attack at one of the president's events. Furthermore, I would like to note that sometimes these visits of public officials might bring associated protests. This is very unlikely in China and in Beijing, considering the high control the government has over security, and they heavily monitor these types of events. So protests, while possible, are overall unlikely to occur. So SafeAbroad travelers are primarily advised to expect delays when traveling through and around the downtown Beijing area, and to follow all official directives, and of course expect that heightened security.
Up next, we have the presidential elections occurring across the country of Colombia on May 31st. Heightened security measures were established and will remain actively in place across Colombia until the presidential elections are concluded, due to increasing levels of political violence. Historical election periods see heightened levels of violence throughout the country. Colombian army authorities have made plans to deploy 250,000 soldiers to protect polling stations across the country on May 31st. Specifically, Antioquia and Cauca are at the highest risk for violence, where two out of three of the largest cities in the country are located. Safe Abroad travelers are advised to follow official directives and monitor local media for updates to security measures or protests following the initial voting on May 31st.
All right, that brings us to the end. Happy to hang out to answer any questions anyone has. You're welcome to unmute yourself and ask away. There should be other people as well on the call that may have the same question. I'm also going to put before anyone leaves, I'm going to put a link to our other events in the chat. It's just to the events page where we'll be hosting another webinar about the importance of on-site staff, resident directors, overseas staff, things like that coming up in the next couple of weeks. And then you'll see the other ones hosted next month as well, listed there. So be sure and register, and hopefully we'll see you there. Right now, we'll just open it up. If you need to go, welcome to go. Otherwise, we'll hang out for a little bit longer and answer any questions you may have. Thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday if we don't see you.